102 H-Bombs by Thomas M. Disch, 1967. This Berkeley Medallion edition is from 1971. 102 H-Bombs is the first collection of Thomas M. Disch stories. On the screens, you can see the contents of this collection of stories. These stories were written in the early 1960s. There are two stories unique to each of these collections. The compact collection is from the UK. It has White Fang Goes Dingo and Leader of the Revolution, whereas the content list for the American edition from Berkeley Medallion replaces those two stories with 3 points on the demographic curve and 5 eggs. Otherwise, the stories are the same. Before I start talking about the stories, I do want to mention that I've been collecting and starting to review Thomas M. Disch's work. Following this collection of stories, in terms of when it was written, would be Genocides, and I do have a review up on the channel. Next, an ace double, Mankind Under the Leash. Was he the only man to challenge the Star Masters? Mankind Under the Leash was reprinted later as The Puppies of Terra. Then we have Echo Round His Bones. There is a review up on my channel for this one. Followed by what might be his most famous book, Camp Concentration. Now I've read this book, and I'm really not sure if I'm going to do a review for it. Let me read from the back of it. You are trundled away to Camp Archimedes, a strange and forbidding prison in the middle of nowhere. You are the guinea pig in a nightmare experiment that raises your intelligence to fantastic levels while ravaging your body. Open your eyes in the ghastly darkness amid the vortex of clinical eyes. In the maze of cold metal corridors, you are powerless to escape. Powerless, that is, except for the bizarre and terrible power these hellish technicians have given you. To gaze into the depths of the universe, to seek, to understand, to know the unknowable, to travel and travel till you come to the edge. This novel is journal entries of the prisoner. In some ways, it reminded me of Daniel Keyes' Flowers for Algernon. The reason I'm not sure if I want to review it is about the last half, perhaps 2/3, go really into a stream of consciousness. This is new wave experimental writing. And the last book that I have is 334. But today, we're talking about 102 H-Bombs. The title story is the longest story in the collection. There's been an ongoing war with the United States and much of the world. New York has been leveled, and nature is taking over. The only exception is the Empire State Building. It had force fields which kept it from being destroyed. There is a contest where children can write about the Empire State Building. 102 children win the writing contest and go with their chaperones to the Empire State Building. We find out that each of their essays is exactly the same. They imagine the Empire State Building as a rocket. How can this be? There's no plagiarism involved. We find out that there's been a test to try to detect special children. In this story, we have a dystopic future. We have time travel. We have special selected children. I want to read a few paragraphs from near the end of the story. Everyone, even the generals, hated the non-war. It cost much and returned no profit. It was insane. Yet almost all adults were too deeply tangled in the system that produced the non-war to see their way out. That was almost the definition of being an adult, that you couldn't see the way out. This non-war is actually a never-ending war. Children could see the way out quite clearly. Everyone simply stopped fighting and stopped making weapons. Could these special children save the world? This story featured a fascinating collection of ideas, and it was well executed. Thomas M. Disch is a good writer. Even though he was a very young writer, you could see the promise that the future held. Stories from the early 1960s often shared the same structure. They would set up an SF world, introduce a problem, and then have a twist ending or a surprise conclusion. About half the stories in this collection follow that structure. They are the more memorable stories. The Vamp follows an old entertainment star. We think we know where the story is going. After all, she is a vampire. But the ending? Not what you expect. 5 eggs. What if your progeny were in these eggs? What if someone mistook them just for eggs? And The Princess's Carillon. It takes the Princess and the Frog story and turns it on its head. These early stories of Thomas M. Disch are entertaining and show flashes of his future brilliance. That said, there are some stories that are just okay. I do recommend the title story. One of the frustrations about this collection is that there are so few printings. There's the compact in 1967 and the Berkeley Medallion in 1971. I give 102 H-bombs 6.5 out of 10. To learn more about Thomas M. Disch, you can go to my friend Stephen E. Andrews' channel, Outlaw Bookseller. He has a number of videos about Disch. In the description of this video, I will link his overview of Thomas M. Disch's career. Stay tuned for more Thomas M. Disch this year. Until next time, keep reading.